Hi, my name is Scarlett Wimbley, and this is going to be my Media and Gender, a Sociological Exploration. To begin, my project type was a research paper based on a type of media or TV show that you were able to choose, and the form of media that I chose was Euphoria. And the main reason why I chose Euphoria is it's been one of my favorite shows for a long time. I've always felt that their representation of today's generation has been the most relatable for me. I also feel like Euphoria has really endearing aesthetics, makeup, and fashion. Along with the on screen visuals, Euphoria also has some great gender representation and social commentary that stands out. And I felt that a research paper such as this one that dives into the discussions of gender exploration and intersectionality, Euphoria would be the perfect show to analyze. Continuing on to my research and methodology portion. My research process essentially was an in-depth content analysis of the first season of Euphoria. I chose episodes that I wanted to specifically analyze that had a criteria that they must meet. This criteria was essentially that the episode must be specifically vital to the development of the characters. The episode must also refer to topics such as female pain, toxic masculinity, transgender experiences, and ideas of sexual exploration. My primary sources were essentially the episodes that I chose from Euphoria to analyze, and the chosen episodes were episode 1, 3, 5, and 7. As for my secondary sources, I used about 5 online resources. To list them off, there is the Contemporary Aesthetics of Adolescence and how Euphoria uses style to spectacularize representations of modern youth and the articulation of the teenage gaze. I also had Euphoria and the Spectrum of Gender and Sexuality, along with Euphoria, the representation of female pain and its manifestations, along with Beyond the Glitter, a feminist perspective on Euphoria, and lastly, Euphoria, a character analysis. Moving on to my main findings of this research paper, we are going to discuss this by breaking down each part of my findings into the episodes that I chose. To begin with episode 1, the pilot episode, we are introduced to the characters Rue, Jules, and Nate. Rue, a recovering drug addict, and our narrator, meets the new girl in town, Jules, who is an openly transgender woman. Jules had just gotten away from a difficult situation with her mother, with transphobia and difficulty with her transitioning. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have Nate, who embodies the common all-American toxic masculine archetype for this show. Continuing into episode 3, Made You Look, this episode was chosen as it expands on the character Kat. After she had an inappropriate video of her spread across her school, Kat finds intrigue in the online sex work world. She initially struggled with her body image and her looks, but this newfound sexual exploration of hers allows her to gain a newfound confidence from male validation. Moving on to episode 5, Bonnie and Clyde, we will evaluate this as it details the origins of Maddie Perez. Maddie always loved being a fashionable and feminine girl, even in her teenage years. Growing up with an esthetician mother and a drunken father, she longed for a life of relaxation and luxury. Dating Nate Jacobs was Maddie's chance at having a man who could provide the life that she had always dreamed of, despite his obvious flaws. As for episode 7, the trials and tribulations of trying to pee while depressed, this episode establishes a backstory for Cassie Howard. Cassie grew up with dysfunctional parents who fought very often. After they separated, her dad gets in a car wreck and starts to abuse substances. After his addiction develops, Cassie slowly never saw her father again, thus affecting her dating life and her future endeavors. Cassie would let men take advantage of her and exploit her because she was looking for the love and approval from a man all throughout her teenage years. Now, we are going to digest and analyze what our main findings from the show mean in a broader sociological implication sense. To begin with the concept of female pain and its manifestations, Maddie, Kat, and Cassie all experience inflicted female pain from men in their own unique ways. Maddie pushes for a fake innocence and perfection image for Nate, as she wants to be the perfect girl for him. Kat seeks out sexual validation from men online to gain a newfound confidence. And Cassie's absent father has left her seeking out male love validation, even if that means sexualizing herself in the worst possible ways. These common conflicts can define what womanhood can look like today when dealing with men. Toxic masculinity and internalized homophobia is also a broader implication in this show, as the Nate Jacobs character is a very complex character, as he fronts as a very hyper-masculine, straight football personality. But Nate finds himself exploring his sexuality with Jules in the show and is left questioning his identity. His inherent anger and toxic masculinity traits originate from his internalized homophobia and fear of being judged by other men in his life. As for the transgender experiences that are represented in this show, Jules defines an individual experience of womanhood as she navigates her transition from male to female. Jules endures violent and unpleasant interactions with men while she is dating because she originally feels like these types of interactions are what make you a woman. But with her experimentation in sexual identity with Rue, she finds that there is a new definition of womanhood that she can find herself, that she can define any way she feels. As for the intersectionality portion of the findings, I believe that each character in conflict in Euphoria is not just a black and white situation. Similar to how real life is, not everything just fits into one specific category. People have layers. Majority of the characters in this story have multiple identities that intersect in very impactful ways that affect their behaviors and their character choices throughout the show. Moving on to my conclusion, pieces of media like Euphoria are essential to addressing ideas of intersectionality and societal gender norms in our society. This show works very hard to address and call for action against difficult topics and does a phenomenal job representing those affected by these harsh realities as well. To close, Euphoria's diverse cast of personalities is greatly impactful in bringing societal conflicts of intersecting identities into the public's attention by displaying a story that conveys womanhood, sexism, abuse, homophobia, and androcentrism in many different ways. Any sort of questions or any other feedback that you guys want to ask for me, as soon as this video concludes, you guys can totally ask away. And these are going to be my references I used in my findings and in my research paper. Thank you.